Hey guys, I want to start this video by saying that I have seen the pictures of the 2013 Hero Factory sets and they are quite crappy. And I know some of you are going to say, well, Lisa, you do better. Okay, I will. Here's some mocks. Now we're going to be looking at these mocks in order from which ones I changed the least to which ones I changed the most. So of course you're not going to be that impressed by the first few mocks, but these first couple I'm showing are just the ones that I couldn't change much without it feeling wrong. So yeah, here's Breeze. Now her figure, I really like this one. BioRock Dude says he thinks it's trash, but I love the equipment, I love the differently colored skeletal pieces. And, you know, I like the shape. I mean, she reminds me a lot of Samus Aran with the big shoulder pads, and even though, like, most of this is not very feminine looking, you know, I think it's slender enough, and I think that helmet really sells it, because that is a pretty strikingly feminine face. But I did change something about her. When I realized I had enough pieces to make two of these launchers that are completely red, and I had these gauntlet pieces to go along with them, and, well, yeah, I decided to make these two turrets. So it's like she can fly around and these can move independently and go every which way and fire wherever, and just, yeah. But I just couldn't change anything about the body itself. I guess I could do a little something with the shield since her arm is bare otherwise, but still, this is all I could do. I could only add a little to it, but if I added much more than this, it would just be overkill. So yeah, this is the most I'm going to get out of Breeze. Already a very good figure. If you haven't picked one up yet, go get this. It's definitely one of my favorites. I love it. Next up is Stormer. I didn't change much, but I did change some things, most notably the lower legs. Most of this body was pretty good, but I did make the arms a little longer. I felt they were a little too short compared to the rest of it. I didn't want to make them too long because then they would just be lanky. But you know, I think I got the right length with the arms. And I put one of those jetpack things on the back. Yeah, it's not like this is actually supposed to make him fly, but I just had it there for the sake of symmetry and just because I think it's neat to see these plastered like all over him. I didn't put a lot of stickers on because I just can't stand the stickers. The only ones I felt added anything to him were these ones that go on his chest because his chest is pretty bare otherwise. As for the structure of his torso, I kept thinking, oh, I'm going to raise his arms a bit because they're too far below his head. So yeah, I'll raise them a bit by adding longer pieces here, but no, this is as good as I can possibly get at the moment. I mean, maybe you could take another one of these extra long Fire Lord torsos, because we got like a regular sized torso and a Fire Lord torso slapped together. But, you know, I don't know. I've tried all sorts of things, and I just could not raise the arms any higher. Anytime I added longer pieces, it got like really stiff, and the shape of the whole body changed, and yeah, this is the best that guys at LEGO could work with, really. This is as good as we're gonna get. But, you know, it really isn't that bad. I mean, I just pushed the head low enough that these blue pieces kind of craft the illusion that his arms really start up here like they're supposed to. You know, if you look really closely, obviously it isn't that way, but just when you're just taking a glance at it, at least, you know, overall the figure looks okay. It's the best they could manage with. I did add these here just to give him a little more muscle because I thought those parts were a little too bare, and I just think it makes him look a little more cohesive. And yeah, as for the legs, I just didn't like how the legs at first looked kind of like a dumbed down, stripped down version of like, you know, Witch Doctor's legs or whatever. So, you know, I changed it. I added a couple of extra white torso pieces to the back. The ones on the back are supposed to be like his calves, and these are supposed to, I don't know, just be like bell-bottom pants that end with a kneecap. And it doesn't look great this way, but you know, it's like as good as I could make it look. And yeah, he's still got decent posability, and I like the way it turned out. This is already a very good figure, so, you know, again, I just couldn't change that much. And, let's see. It basically is just an extra large version of the heroes that we already get, and it does what it does well, even though it's obscenely expensive. Anyway, next one. Next up is Raka. And, yeah, again, I changed some things, but not a lot. I mostly just tried to make him a little more slender and just a little more heavily armored because, like, this arm was way too short and it just wasn't enough, like, really good plating, I found it. And I didn't like the colors. That's what I changed around the most. I put a gold foot on his back and I added more gold plating, and I think he looks much better now than he did before. It's like, yeah, the gunmetal clashes with the gold pretty well, and the green really adds a lot. I love the green bits. I even added a green ball to this already green launcher. But you add silver in there, and it just starts to fall apart. So I didn't like that silver hand and changed it for a black one. You can also see I changed the shield, and I was thinking of doing the same thing for Breeze, but I don't want them all to like look the same and be augmented with the exact same weapons. Also added a couple more spears I pawned off some other sets, and yeah, again, a very solid figure. I just felt that it needed a little sprucing up. Core Hunter. Now this is the only villain I'm going to be showing you, and I did get a couple other villains. But there were some things about this one that really sold it to me. I just love this figure, but I had to change some things. You can already kind of see what I changed in the back. It's a really big change, but let's get around to the rest of the body first. I didn't change much about the body, but I changed the leg pieces, and the thigh armor, and added more spikes. I made his arms longer because his arms were pretty much non-existent before. Again, it just stood out to me. Such a boldly designed figure. Loved the colors and everything. But here's what I added to him. Yeah. It's not like a scorpion tail. Don't get the wrong idea. It's supposed to be like Cell's tail from Dragon Ball Z. You know, all limber and like a big tube. The idea is that he drains the cores of the heroes he hunts down, and then he puts his cores on this like trophies. And yeah, he only comes with one of these, sorry to say, but yeah, you can take cores from other sets, other villain sets mostly. And yeah, I just like how this turned out. It may look really hard to support, but it really isn't that hard. It'll stay up in most positions when you just stand him up. And that's mainly because the way I have this, it can't bend down that far anyway. And it just really works well this way. And yeah, I just took a whole bunch of these pieces and slapped them together in a big old tail, and probably not what most people would have had in mind, but I think it adds to him. This is already one of the more basic sets to begin with, so there really wasn't much that I could change, but the changes I did make, I think, add a lot to his, just the aesthetic. Like, I did not like the lime green armor pieces. I thought it was a very messily designed, very messily colored figure. I mean, the design itself wasn't that bad. It was a really simple design that, worked pretty well, but I just did not like the color scheme. So I switched them well, first I tried some yellow pieces, trying to make it look kind of like Scuba from the Throwbot Slizers line, whatever, but it just didn't look that good. So then I changed it with these pieces from Toxic Reaper, which match his eyes perfectly, and yeah, it just adds a lot to how he looks, kind of like the darker green adds to Rucka. I did put this piece on his heel, just because I wanted to put a little extra something on him somewhere. You can say that he slices people with these, and he even has these other pieces on his arms, and he's not perfectly symmetrical, but, he doesn't need to be. And, oh yeah, and I have him just whipping these around, darting, and like he's a ninja or something. And, yeah, it's a simple figure, but I really like how it turned out, and, yeah. Now is where we actually start getting kind of crazy. Most of these heroes just look like colorful robot superheroes, but I tried to make this guy look more like he's part of a SWAT team or something. And yeah, there wasn't much I could change about this arm. I love this arm. I thought he was one of the better sets despite being a really simple entry of the breakout line. All I could really change about this was adding some spikes. So like if someone's over to his side, I can just smack them with this and really hurt them. And I added this shield piece under this foot piece for a little extra bulk, and yeah, I just armored him with all sorts of spikes and everything. I gave him this simply designed rifle, it's a modest little thing, but it's got a bayonet, which I think is pretty cool. And I added this sheath to this arm so he can jab people who are like right behind him, like, yeah. And I even gave him a couple of curled spikes. I love these spikes. They are so much cooler than the straight spikes. And most of these came from, let's see, what is it? Waspix, I think that's the name. Yeah, it's a simple figure, and one of the shorter figures. I felt it was needed to have at least one guy who was a lot shorter than the others, just because you don't want them all to be the same height, the same shape. I kept the red head. I tried switching it for the blue head since it's closer to the purple head he used to have, but I actually find that this fits with this overall design a lot better. Just gave him a lot of padding, made him look like he's really well equipped to charge into a mob of evil robots who are rampaging. And I gave him one of these, kind of like Surge, and yeah, the idea is that he's not very articulate on this arm, so if someone jumps at him from this side and is about to get him, he can just whip this around, just kick him like whip back, and just gut him. Pretty cool figure already, and I just felt like giving him some pizzazz, giving him some doodads, make him look like he's covered in riot gear, and yeah, that's it. I did not like the breakout version of Furno very much at all. The only draw was to get that classic helmet again, and the chest piece, and these pieces which were on the legs. But other than that, he was a mess. There was hardly any red on him, and he was covered with all this greeble, and he just didn't have a lot of flow or pizzazz. He basically looked like a really badly done mock, like someone just took a bunch of random pieces and slapped them all together on one thing. And I know there are some things people might not like much about this, like the toxic reap arms and how his legs are so much more slender. But you know, I just did it because I felt like making it this way, and it's mostly about the color coordination, and I really liked how these pieces from Split Face go over these white pads, and I just felt like making his arms and legs consistent that way. The biggest change, though, are these wings. They can be positioned in all sorts of ways, pointing at different angles, and you know, it's like he can just fly and turn in any direction he wants to on a whim, like ooh. And yeah, it's like these wings weren't enough, like on the 3.0 set, so dang it, it's actually bent a little. So I slapped on a second pair of these wings that are at a slightly different angle, and they spread out really nicely like a bunch of feathers. And it's simple, but yeah, I think it's, I don't know, I just put a lot of artistic value into these. I mean, as much as I could. Yeah. And I just hope you guys can appreciate this for what it is. Just a flyboy. This is what I always imagined Furno to be, especially after like the 3.0 set. So I figured this would be like a natural step up from that. And yeah, just hope it turned out okay. Swoosh ability. One of the easiest ways to make these guys all look the same, and I know Lego Jang, like this is a big pet peeve for him, is to just give them all the same basic build to make them all humanoid. So this and the last one I'm going to show you are not very humanoid at all. I mean, this one's still vaguely humanoid in shape, still has 2 legs and 2 arms and whatnot, but the amount of joints gives them a different shape completely. And yeah, this is nothing like Nex was before. I thought Nex was a horrible set. So little orange, and the colors were just really messy, and the weapon was stupid, and they had some good pieces, and that's why I did end up buying the set, but basically to supplement it with other pieces like these. I got these from Bulk's set. You think I'm gonna waste these beautiful long orange pieces I've been waiting to get since the 2.0 line started on Bulk? No, I'm gonna use these for Nex. And I do think they add quite a lot to his overall, just the color scheme. Kind of like Furno, you know, I added some white bits and try to make them clash with the orange bits, but I try to give it a much better flow than the original, you know, Nex breakout set had. As for the weapons, it's got a very simple launcher here. I tried to convey that he isn't too keen on using this kind of weapon, so he doesn't care using like the most bare bones basic model that can be found. But as for this, it's like he draws energy through this, and then it goes to this little handle, which is a little big, but you know, it's supposed to be kind of primitive looking, like this is the first of who knows how many models of this weapon they're gonna make, and then I added this piece. So yeah, it's kind of like a beam saber or a lightsaber, and I like to imagine this guy dashing around the battlefield really silently. You know, kind of like Mark, only just even more so, I guess. Like, and yeah, the raptor-looking legs, they might seem kind of strange, but you know, they're posable enough, and I've been able to put them in some pretty cool stances. And as for the arms, yeah, they've got 3 joints too. I had to find a way to make them longer. I didn't have any more of these orange pieces, these long orange pieces, I mean. So I just did what I could with what I had. Oh, and yeah, I had to cover up this chest piece. This chest piece was the worst part of that set. But anyway, yeah, I think I ended up adding a lot of character to this guy. He's really bizarre, even gave him a longer neck, but he's not like the most... I mean, he's not alien enough to be mistaken for a bad guy. I think I still managed to keep him pretty simple and heroic looking, so yeah. Bulk was already a decent breakout set. You know, I thought it was a good toy already. And I didn't think I was going to end up changing much about him, but what do you know, I did. And here he is. Yeah, now his name actually fits. Yeah, I just gave lots of bulky pieces, changed his stupid black feet for these silver feet, because I didn't think there was enough silver on him. Took these big... Yeah, I don't even know what to call these armor pieces, but they're the most easily recognizable. I think they stand out the most. They're the most iconic. Added these pieces over that. Gave him these, I don't know what you want to call these tonfa-like weapons. I don't know. Even more bulky pieces here. A torso piece there with another one of these on top of it. And as for the... Yeah, I took the chest piece he already had, put this over it, changed it for the 3.0 Jimmy Stringer Hero Core because I thought it stood out a lot more than the dull orange one that really did not look that good in the 3.0 bulk set. I just thought it clashes with the rest of this guy more vividly. And I gave him 2 turrets. I had to take some pieces from one of them and split into like 2 seemingly less powerful turrets, but hey, at least there's 2 now, and they look okay. I really like these pieces that they came with. And as for the shoulder pieces, I did not like the way they looked before. They made it really hard to pose his head in. You know, now he does have much better posability, and these don't get in the way because they're like right behind him, and you see it's all surprisingly cohesive because it like goes around here and on the back. Yeah, I added more kibble. XT4, very shitty set. I buried his torso somewhere in there, and then I just covered it with this piece from Drill Dozer. Why haven't we gotten another set with a piece this long? And one of these, and again, it's surprisingly cohesive. I expected this to be a mess. I didn't think all this kibble and greeble could be added to one figure, but I'm not trying to brag, I'm just saying I really surprised myself because I expected this to be an irredeemably crappy mess, but it actually turned out pretty okay. So yeah, one left. Now this one actually did turn out kind of messy, but I'm glad I did it anyway. Here's what I did to Jimmy Stringer. Again, not very humanoid looking, but like, basically it's like the Landstalker from Ratchet Deadlocked, or the Metal Slug from the Metal Slug game, something like that. Just this huge powerhouse that goes stomping around, can't even be supported by 2 feet. I gave him 2 extra legs, I split into 2 smaller legs, these feet, and yeah, he just walks around like a giant crab thing. I gave him a long torso that I pawned from Scorpio, whatever, and... Let's see what I do. Oh yeah, I took the regular torso armor, put a chest plate over that, and took the shoulder armor from, like, Drill Dozer and put that on him as well, just to make this huge block of a guy. As for the weapons, I just put a whole bunch of kibble together to make this humongous chainsaw as I'm smashing through buildings with, and this double-barreled launcher, you know, like that one from Bulk, that one from Nex. Yeah, what a coinkydink that they go together so well. And yeah, it's kind of a mess, and probably not colorful enough. I wish there were orange skeleton pieces, and I was thinking of putting more red in there, but then he would just look too much like Core Hunter. It'd be hard to tell if he was a bad guy or not. I think it turned out okay. At least this orange core from Bulk 3.0 matches these pieces, and even his eyes. And yeah, probably the craziest of all these figures, just loads and loads of kibble and armor, all the beefiest pieces I could find from sets like Core Hunter and Toxic Reaper and some 3.0 sets and Drill Dozer and so on. I mean, a lot of guys were sacrificed just to make these new figures. And yeah, that's the last of these. We sure have come a long way, huh guys? You remember back when I did the Hero Factory 1.0 review where I just got 2 of these figures and put them on this table when I was living at a different place, and then the 2.0 review where I put a bunch of sets on this table? I mean, I never would have imagined I'd have figures like this standing before me. And I know some of you guys may think that these are kind of gaudy and overdone and completely unnecessary, but I'm glad I did what I did. I ended up cannibalizing a lot of sets in the process. So many Hero Factory sets that I've collected since the 2.0 line came out that have been completely wrecked and are now beyond salvage because I took so many of their pieces and added them to these sets. And, you know, I'm still glad I did this. Because the thing is, I've been collecting sets like this for a long, long time. I was right there from day one with Bionicle. I kind of missed Slicers and the Robo Riders, though I did get a couple of those sets. But anyway, since Bionicle, I've been collecting these sets like mad year after year after year. I might skip most of a line here or there, like the Hordika and so on. But even since Hero Factory started, well, at least since the 2.0 line started, I've been collecting these like mad. And they're just piling up all the time, and I figure, you know what, it's gotta stop. And this isn't necessarily about growing up. It's not about outgrowing these things. It's about making it redundant for me to even desire these sorts of figures anymore. What I've basically done is made designs that LEGO cannot possibly top. They can't outdo what I've done here. These are like the spiffiest figures I could ask for. Yeah, I'm not bragging. The thing is, most of these figures already had a sturdy base. The Breakout line was a decent line. It was a good line. All I did was add some stuff to these guys and upgrade them. But the whole point of this was to make figures that I was already so satisfied with that no matter what LEGO put on the shelf next, I would still prefer these over that. And what do you know? We've seen pictures of the next line, and I have no desire to get any of those sets. None. I'm already plenty satisfied with these, because these figures are better. And some of you may think I sound arrogant for saying that, but these figures already started out better. And again, all I've done is make them even more better. And I don't know, I guess this is a big step for me. This is it. Oh, and there's a Witch Doctor there. I hardly changed him at all because he's already such a cool set. Yes, I managed to cram them all into that little basket to carry them around in. But anyway, I guess that's that, guys. I guess, I don't know, just say what you think about the sets, and I hope this inspires you to make your own sets, to make your own mocks to top what LEGO has done. Because that's the whole point of mocking, to make something even better than what they put on the shelf. Because the LEGO company, when they make sets like this, they have certain restrictions. They have a limit of how many pieces they can throw in there without raising the price a bit. And things like inflation sure don't help. But these, I had no limits. All I could do was just apply my imagination and just do what I could. And this is it. So yeah, toodles guys, I hope you like these mocks. Hope you get something out of this, and yeah. See ya.